Hi, I'm Carole Robinson, and welcome to this edition of County Happenings, where we find out what's going on in the county by talking to the county mayor, who knows everything in the county.
I don't
Rogers
know about
Anderson.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Got
How
all
are you
your
doing?
Christmas shopping done?
Almost. I know, isn't that awful?
It's not the 23rd.
I know.
Now, men get started on the 23rd. Of course, men don't have to buy
Yeah.
all those gifts for the
All the
grandbabies
yeah.
and the children. And
Yeah. I of course overdid with the grandkids already. My daughter's already saying, "Mom, stop." I've only just begun.
Well, since I was on the show last night, I just thought 2 weeks ago, I got notification that my 9th grandbaby will be here next summer.
Oh my gosh, congratulations,
And
Grandpa.
Grandpa's going to have 9 of those, and if it gets here about 2 weeks before the first one turns 7, I'll have 9 of them 6 and under.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
There's an active household.
There's an active household. I don't have enough room from the top of my knee to my big old fat belly for all these grandbabies to sit on, but it sure is fun
Oh,
trying.
I know. It is fun having them crawling all over you. Oh my gosh, it's great.
It is.
And I only have
wonderful.
3. I'm lagging behind. I'll have to get these kids going here.
Well, and this particular one is in Texas, so it's not
Where
affecting.
the twins are.
Where the twins are, so this one is not affecting my our school program yet.
Okay.
Now, in a few years, I'll have plenty of grandbabies in the Williamson County Public School System.
We'll have to blame the crowding on the Anderson
Yeah,
family.
well, some of them are Andrews, some of them are Howard. So
Yeah,
there's
the
a
Anderson
few.
Howards.
Speaking of that, our numbers are looking very good, very strong. We start our year on July the 1st
Right.
and run to the end of June the next year. But our numbers are looking real good for sales tax. We're looking at October numbers for September and October. Now that's the retail sales, the sales tax side, and those numbers are holding up very good. There was some question. Would we have a strong retail sale? And of course, we
Right.
don't know for the November, and we won't know for the holiday season from Thanksgiving through the end of December, really into about February, because the merchants get to the 15th of the following of the month to do it, and so lots of things go on. But they're looking very good. And why is that important? Because as a general rule, 50% of that local sales goes directly to the schools, and that helps to hold down those property tax rates.
And then property taxes now are they coming in? I know property taxes aren't due till February.
End of February.
End of February. How are they coming in? I know everybody. We got our statement, I think, in September.
No, well, you probably would have got it October.
Yeah, around that time.
We mail them
Yeah.
out at the end of September, and you should get them around October the 1st. They're going very good. We can go in through the calculations we have and kind of get a run on at the end of October and the end of November and the end of December, how those compared with the last several years. And our numbers are very strong. They're up about 0.2%, which simply means people are paying their taxes a little earlier. Some of them are going to pay by 12/31. A lot of people pay by 12/31. If it's escrowed account out of a bank or mortgage company, then most of the time they pay those by 12/31, so that you can have that deduction on your taxes when you do your 2014 taxes, which are here in just a few days. This year is over.
Yeah.
So people take advantage of that, and people that may not have a mortgage in this county, you'd be surprised how many of them pay a little bit early, October, November. Certainly they'll get them in here by December. So they're holding up good. And every year in July, the county commission authorizes a bond anticipation note. Now, a bond anticipation note means until those taxes start coming in, you've got a period of time from July till end of October that you still have to make payroll.
Right.
And particularly schools, I mean, they've got approximately 3,500 teachers and support staff, and so you still got to make payroll. So oftentimes we authorize a bond anticipation note. It's a 6-month note that you go to an institution and borrow what you think you're going to need through that period of time, and you pay that interest back. It's a very reasonable amount of a note if you can have a note, but you can't borrow money without paying interest on it. And this year we were authorized to do it, but we've not had to do it. So that makes me feel good that we didn't have to borrow money, but the schools are still growing.
And that means the interest doesn't have to be paid because you didn't borrow the money, which is good.
Absolutely, it's good. It saves several $1,000s. But our school numbers, I was talking to Dr. Looney the other day. You don't see a lot of people moving between Thanksgiving and the first of the year. You know, if they're living in Topeka, Kansas, or California or somewhere, they usually ride it out through the holiday season. And then you'll see kind of a migration of new people about the first 2 weeks in January. New students, people relocate here. But our numbers are very strong this year. Our classes, he was informing me, over at Scales Elementary, they've got portables there, and most of our Brentwood area over there is very, very packed with students. And it's true.
It's still amazing because for years, oh gosh, 20 years, that was the stable area.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's changed. And Grassland was pretty stable once Fieldstone Farm settled down.
And of course, I know you know this, but just for the viewing audience, we have 2 schools being built. A new high school in Nolensville, and my life depended on it. I couldn't come up with a name that they named it. And a new K through 8 school over in Nolensville. So Nolensville.
It's 2 K through 8 schools in the Nolensville area.
And a new elementary, so, and a high school now. So that area is just
bursting.
It is. I was over there recently for some other activity, and it's just rooftops popping up everywhere. And of course, it's affordable over there. And it's kind of like the Spring Hill area that you can move in and have great schools, have access to go up Nolensville Road.
Yeah, you're right next. Well. Davidson County is the border's right there, so you're right next to Nashville.
Or if you work we have a lot of people who live in Williamson County that work over in Rutherford County and surrounding areas. And of course, you can go down on, I guess that's the east of Nolensville Road towards Triune, go through that intersection, hit 840, and you can go anywhere you want to be, from Wilson County to Dixon County, and go to work. So a lot of growth occurring in that area, just like Spring Hill and Thompson Station area continues to grow.
It's so amazing. People are still coming here.
I suspect our next area that we're gonna, other than the Brentwood area, the Scales area, you're probably gonna have to find another elementary school over there. Lipscomb, Scales, Kenrose. They're pretty much at capacity, particularly when you bring trailers in. So I suspect the school system is going to be coming in asking for some more money to build one over there. And
they're going to have to do it quick because the land's getting gobbled up.
Yes. And surprisingly, we're seeing a lot of growth out in the College Grove area, too.
Yeah, I heard that. All of a sudden, it seems to be people are, it's a real pretty area.
Oh, it is. And College Grove Elementary is a school that was built, I'm going to make a stab at the guess, probably 10 or 12 years ago, but we didn't build a wing. We held off a wing. For a long time, that school had maybe 250 to 300 children. But because of subdivisions on Arnold Road that are being built and some of the other areas that are seeing new resurgence of people moving in, College Grove's getting a little tight now, and there's no place to send. No,
there's nothing close.
Nothing close to College Grove. So I suspect
there's that old college or whatever. What was it? There's an old school there around.
Well, yeah, but we destroyed that. We took that down, and College Grove now. You're talking about the Archatorium at the College Grove, which the old gym is still there, and we converted the adult. Where they had their plays and things. The Parks and Rec took that over, and we call it Archatorium. And we have plays there, and the weekend.
We just like making up words.
Yeah. So you either go to you got Page Middle and Page High School. You've got Bethesda. And then you've got College Grove, so that span, if you kind of look across there, you've got Trinity. Many years ago,
But
probably
Trinity's way over here, and College Grove is over here.
it's not easy to
Yeah.
get to, so probably going to be a wing added on
Mm-hmm.
out to College Grove, and that'll help that area hold off. But that'll be another area. What's holding the growth in College Grove is down, or you don't see the fast growth. There's no public utilities out.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean sewer. Most everything built in College Grove is on septic tank,
Mm-hmm.
and so that takes a little bit more land to build a home to get that done. But it's growing.
That sure, it's, yeah, I was driving out there and I was really surprised. Speaking of the College Grove and that area on the other side of the interstate, the bridge is open. Yay!
I-65 Paytonsville Road Bridge was open. Let's give hats off to Tennessee Department of Transportation. I mean, Commissioner John Shore from Franklin. It was a top priority to get that bridge open. Not just because he lived here, but because
But it was, there were a lot of other issues above and beyond.
lots of issues, and particularly, I got an interesting email from, it was handed down to me through Facebook. And a lady, 3 weeks prior to the bridge having to be shut down, had moved to Ladd Park. And she
From
worked,
the other side.
Yes, and she worked over in the Berry
Hill area, which is
Berry's
Ladd
Farm,
Park,
not Berry
Berry's
Hill, Berry's Farm area. So where it should have been, come down and go across the bridge and get to work in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She was having to go all the way around through Highway 96 or go on the old Paytonsville Road and come in around the backside. It was a 35-minute drive to and from, and her children went to Oakview. So the buses had to be rerouted to do that. I mean, she came to the ribbon cutting just to see it for her own eyes.
And
she
kiss
just found,
John Schroer.
she found 1 extra hour in her daily
Wow.
life easy. And,
Well, luckily she hadn't gotten too used to going just 10 minutes to work. that was quite an adjustment for a lot of people, but I didn't really hear a whole lot of moaning and groaning. People just did it.
They had
knew-
to.
Yeah, there wasn't anything else they could do, and they just did it. And my hat's off to the community for just, letting things go and do it and let things happen.
Well, and that, and I think Franklin, the rescue squad, Franklin law enforcement and public safety, and the same for the county side. We opened up the ag park,
Right. So that
allowed an ambulance to be there, fire station permanently stationed there, so that
they didn't feel so isolated.
they didn't feel so isolated, and it didn't take so long, because that area in Ladd Park, which is the big subdivision out there, their normal response would have come from the location on Highway
96.
96 at McHatcher, just back this side of Chop House. Most everybody knows where the Chop House is, that station there. So that was a good response time, but they could go out, hit Highway 96, hit the interstate, and come off. Well, when that bridge was shut down and the work was going on for almost 100 days, they had to go the back way, and so the response time to get there was outside the window in order to have their fire rating, and just from a safety standpoint. So all of us working together have overcame that. And it was a little costly on part of the city to really staff that up, but we didn't charge them rent at the ag park and anything like that. We just said, we have to be good neighbors to our city,
Right.
and this was the right thing to do. And Kenny Wallace, our director of the ag park, did a wonderful job of just kind of, okay, that's just what we have to do.
Yeah.
And
And and that doesn't mean just finding a place for a couple of fire engines and an ambulance. That had to be staffed and full time.
Sure.
I mean, beds and a kitchen and all
we
that.
call
kind
it
of
the
stuff.
green room. It was a room we had that turned into be a very, very nice. When we have the fair,
Right.
that's where our emergency management moves in to watch the weather, to monitor things that go on at the fair. So we had experience, and we had it wired, so it was just a matter of Franklin coming in and staffing it and manning it or womaning it and getting all of those things done for the protection that was needed out on the end of the county.
Yeah, and so, and to even, I mean, of all the things that everybody was thinking of, that became a priority, and
that led us to the latest thing we just did at the commission in Franklin, that Franklin realized they needed a permanent location on the east side of I-65 for a fire station.
Yeah, because Ladd Park isn't the only subdivision going up in that area.
No. And it's my understanding that they did have a location that had been offered to them from the Berry Farms, but it needed, the footprint that they were looking for needed to be a little bit larger, kind of the footprint that they were using over in the West Haven area, and some of the later, they needed about 2.5 acres rather than the old 1.5 to 2 acres. Because of the type of equipment they have to bring in there, then they had to make the building a little bit longer. So the county commission approved the exchange. We are going to give up 2.5 acres worth of land at the Ag Park. When they get through doing all the roads and the construction, there'll be a cut-in off from Paytonsville Road. It'll go on to the Ag Center, not through the Long Lane exit. And in exchange, they're going to work with us on our sewer. We still don't have sewer at the Ag Park. We do what we call pump and haul.
Which is a lot of hauling during the fair.
There's a lot of
hauling
all year long, let me assure you. And
yeah.
we need sewer to be brought out there. So this was an incentive too for Franklin. It's a good deal for them, it's a good deal for us, and the residents, the businesses, and there are many businesses there on the Long Lane area that are still on the old septic tank or the little bitty treatment plant that was over behind the Goose Creek Inn that had been there for a long time.
Wow, yeah. So kudos to the city, kudos to the county for working together, and it's another one of those unusual things that happen in Williamson County, where cities and the county are working together to make
a lot of people would
better.
say, well, you know, if you had a metropolitan form of government, maybe you could do these things a lot easier. Of course, I'm against metropolitan form of government. I think schools always hurt.
Well,
but
you lose that community.
You do lose the community, and there'd be some people say, well, you'd only have one mayor or one this or one that. Well, Nashville's got metropolitan government, still got 14, 15 different mayors in their individual little cities. And you don't have the individuality. First of all, I don't think it would ever happen. I can't imagine Brentwood and Franklin ever signing a piece of paper that everybody would agree to play ball.
Yeah, and was it going to be Brentwood Metro or Franklin Metro?
But you know, TCA code, Tennessee Code Annotate, which oversees all the rules and regulations for county, you absolutely have to have a county executive or county mayor. Now you can trade that off, and you know, I've got enough gray hair now. I could see some benefits of it, but they just don't weigh out enough for me. You wouldn't have the uniqueness of downtown Franklin, and Brentwood's just as unique, the things they offer and they love to have up there. So I'm not sure that it's ever going to occur in the next few years, but there'll be conversation.
County, people in Williamson County are just a little too independent. They like to keep separate. They like their places.
You know, there may come a time, but I don't think it's here.
Not tomorrow, not next week, and not next year.
I don't think so.
So, speaking of coming to the end of the year, as we were with the budget and stuff, Christmas is coming along, and boy, the public square is looking pretty down in Franklin.
That's a combination of Franklin and Williamson County, the Christmas tree, the courthouse, all the merchants, and you can't say enough about downtown Franklin.
Gosh, it just looks so pretty.
How pretty it is, and we encourage people, if you haven't had a chance, to go downtown or catch one of the trolleys and just take the tour that they have on. And Brentwood certainly has their place. I know there's a home out in, I won't say where it's at, but it's out in Grassland that many people go to off of Hillsborough Road. That is
Chuck Smith has given it up years ago, and somebody else has taken it up.
Well, and people, I'm afraid, today wouldn't remember Chuck Smith.
That's true. That's true.
You and I are showing our ages, but Chuck Smith used to have a place, and it was a showboat, and it was just traffic jam.
Oh my gosh.
But there are several of those all over our county now, just beautiful. The way they decorate their homes in the subdivision. Now, I don't live next door to one of those.
Exactly.
And so I enjoy seeing those and taking my grandchildren to see them. But Wow, they're just beautiful this
Yeah,
time
and
of
it's
year.
fun. I think most of the trolley times now are all taken up, but next year, put it on your plan. The trolley does a tour of lights around the area, and that's fun because then you're not part of the backing up. You've got a bunch of people on the trolley, and that makes it. We did that a couple of years ago with the
Well, and you've just had the event, the Civil War, the reenact,
sesquicentennial. Yeah.
and it just brought in a ton of people that have visited our area. So our hotels, our motels, the convention visitors bureau has just been, I'm sure, smiling from ear to ear because of all the people that were here,
Yeah.
spending those dollars, and it's just been an exciting last quarter in Williamson County.
Yeah, and it's due to continue because although the sesquicentennial officially for the Battle of Franklin is over, then comes the sesquicentennial for the end of the Civil War, which Civil War buffs will continue to celebrate and bring it into the next year. So, oh my goodness, between that and Christmas and all the events going on, anybody that's looking for, not anybody in this town that thinks there's nothing to do, their eyes aren't open.
Right. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
in
there's
our
a lot going in this community.
That's just indicative of people liked, whether it's the Civil War historical side of that, or the Franklin Theater, which is downtown, packed almost every night, from music to plays.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that because it's called the Franklin Theater, it's just movies, but there are plays, there's events going on there. It's a community theater.
Well, and Pool Tie Theater still runs a very
Pool
strong
Tie,
program.
yeah, great program.
And Brentwood certainly had their activities going up in their city. So,
and then the parks, they have the kids thing, Starbright Players.
And speaking of parks, with our director Doug Hood, he retired, and after nearly 25 years, Doug had a wonderful career with Williamson County Park. Him and his wife Johnny Kay moved up here back in the early 90s, and kind of pushed and transformed, and the county commission in each of our cities, the model we use now, has allowed us to have parks and recreation, good facilities, soccer players, rugby, you name it, it's in our community, even pickleball. And
nature parks.
And nature
with
parks.
our new park, yeah. And speaking of nature parks and new parks, it really isn't part of it, but Natchez Trace, because we're on the new park is on the Natchez Trace. Timberland Park. That's a great new place.
It is. That's a good example of two ladies, in particularly Judy Hayes
and Nancy Conway.
And Nancy Conway, that back in the late 90s, 98 or 99, heard or found or discovered that about 75 acres was going to be auctioned off of the Natchez Trace. That was down in a holler, I'll just use that word. And they just didn't feel like they needed it, and found out about it, and the county was able to acquire that land. So somewhere around 2000, and this is 2014, so 14 years later, 2 or 3 grants, a lot of writing to get the special money from Washington and to the local level. We were able to open up a park, and the pavilion that's out there, and it's designed, the highway department built the road, and we had to build it to the national park standards. And so a pavilion was built out there that looks like it's got garage doors.
I love it.
And there's no electricity, so everything has to come off from solar. And so we certainly had to have a bathroom, a male and a female restroom, and so that was put in. That again has to run off from solar.
Yeah, amazingly, it's not an outhouse.
It's not an outhouse. And then we did have to have one tank, an LP tank, brought in for heat, because we just couldn't capture enough sunlight.
Especially on these cloudy days. And you got a nice big old fireplace in there, but it's not generating the heat.
Walking trails, we've got intermediate, we've got beginners, intermediate, and advanced walking trails. We'll add more as time goes on.
Yeah, there's potential there for a lot of miles of trails.
And flowers and trees will be named. School groups will be able to go out there. There's a large enough area to turn around for a bus.
A lot of wildlife.
Lots of wildlife. You've got turkey and deer and lots of little gnats during the hot summer. But it is an observation area that was built so you can just go out and look at the beauty.
Just set,
And it's almost as quiet as any place, any park we've got. So if you get an opportunity, go up on the trace off from Highway 96, turn left like you're going down to Natchez Trace, Mississippi, go about a quarter of a mile, half a mile, and you'll see the sign. And it has the same park hours as the trace is open. So basically from
dusk to dawn.
Dusk to dawn. And but you can enjoy your family. Beautiful photography that's going to be done out there. I can see a whole bunch of weddings that'll occur out there, and I can see a whole bunch of little children going out and getting pictures taken with grandma and grandpa.
And family pictures.
And family photos.
Yes, and now we're on the topic of Natchez Trace, and we're almost done with our show. The Natchez Trace Road is going to be open between Old Hillsboro and Sneed.
It's off from Old Hillsboro Road. So Natchez Trace is one of the oldest, if not the oldest road in the state. Some people have said it's one of the oldest roads in the country. Laced, lined with the rock walls, beautiful trees, canopy trees. Goes out towards Moran Farm, the Moran Road. It has been an absolute rascal to try to figure out how to have that road paved and not make it conform to the new standards. And so after a lot of research, working with the highway department, getting legal's opinion, basically what we did, we reclaimed the road, and there was a machine, we didn't own it, we rented it, and the machine would burrow down as deep as you needed to. We had to be mindful that underneath that road were probably old artifacts. We couldn't disturb them. And that's our problem when we were trying to pave it. We could never go in and scoop it up and get it out of there. So this machine would go in and dig out the road, and as it was churning up the material, and you could drop it down to the depth you wanted to, as it was churning up, there was, I'm going to call it mortar mix, that was on the machine, and it would lay it right back in place to the width you wanted without disturbing the trees, the canopies, and the rock wall. And when you finished,
you got a good bed.
You had a good base. We rebuilt 2 bridges out there, so that's exciting for people to jog on and ride their bicycles on and travel, because both of the bridges, we've had to close them intermittently over the last 6 to 9 months, so they'll be open here.
And people that live there will be real happy.
They'll be very happy, and I think all of the work and the effort will pay us great dividends for that area to be enjoyed.
Well, great. Well, have a Merry, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.
And a Happy New Year if I don't see you beforehand, which I'm sure I will. And you all have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And see you next time on County Happenings.
If you're looking for a loan or you'd like to buy a home, when you want to land a job or your identity's been robbed, annualcreditreport.com, the one you can depend upon. Check your credit to review all your bills and payments too. It's as easy as can be and it's absolutely free. Hey! Annualcreditreport.com, the one you can depend upon. Beware of the others, there's always a catch. They claim to be free, but strings are attached. Their ads can be funny, so don't be deceived. Hold on to your money, there's one site you need. Annualcreditreport.com, the one you can depend upon. Annualcreditreport.com, the one you can depend upon.
Annualcreditreport.com, no hidden fees, absolutely free.